So I just wanted to start by introducing myself and Mr. Olenek. I'm Melissa Moore, and I'm currently the Vice Principal at the middle school, and will be moving into the principalship next year of the middle school. And Mr. Olenek is currently the MYP Science Coordinator, and he will be moving into the Vice Principalship next year, and MYP Coordinator. So this is one of many sessions. I'm sure you'll get to hear our wonderful voices. But we just really want to thank you for taking the time. Mr. O and myself were in speaking to your children the other day and getting them really excited. And it was great to meet some of them and answer some of their questions that they had. I'm sure they came home about leaps and all different questions for you as well. So we're very excited about next year and having the grade 6s join us into grade 7. And we're just going to let our students introduce themselves as well. They can just let you know what grade they are in and their names.
So, hi, my name is Connor, and I'm in grade 8.
My name is Mika, and I'm in grade 8.
My name is Eliana, and I'm also in grade 8.
I'm in grade 7.
So they're just going to speak about a little bit about their experiences in the middle school, around some of the activities they do and some of the electives they do, just so that you can hear from students, and also if you have questions for them, they can answer those. The handout that I gave you, pause. We have some middle school MVP reps here. If you can just put up your hands, and they're amongst kind of the crowd. Some are parents as well that have grade 6 students coming up. And they will, at the end, we'll have the time for a little bit of a discussion, and they'll be able to sit with you and answer some questions as well. One of the pieces of feedback from our MVP reps was about providing grade 6 parents with a bit of a cheat sheet on acronyms that you may hear in the middle school. I've probably forgot some because we do have a lot of acronyms, but I tried to put down the main ones that we use a lot in presentations or in classes, or your child might come home with them. So it's just, the acronyms is a 2-page sheet. To start with, as I said, there's probably some that I haven't added that should be there. But I do know sometimes we will use the acronym and parents don't know what that means. And so this is just a bit of a cheat sheet for you to help you with that. And I will post this, and as more kind of come up, I'll add it so it can be an ongoing resource throughout the year. But these are the main ones that come up. And then the third sheet is just grade 7 major events. Now this is draft because our calendar hasn't quite been finalized, so there are some things that might change. But I thought it was just important. June 28th of this year, so next month, we will be having an advisor challenge, and that's the first time that your child will get to meet their advisor teacher in their group. So they'll actually know who their advisor teacher is and know who the current students in that group are before they break for summer. And that's just a really nice way for them to have a little bit of consistency when they start in September, already knowing who's their advisor teacher and some of familiar faces as they come into the middle school. And then you'll notice I've just added the first day there, grade 7 camp when we go for that, meet the teacher evening and the parent social, grade 7 advisor conferences, science fair, Artsalapalooza, and then the GEX week. And it just gives you a bit of a description of what those are. So again, that's just, there's a lot of other events that happen throughout the year, but those are some of the main ones that are a little new and grade 7s will be involved in. So today we're just going to speak a little bit about middle school, kind of the change from grade 6 moving into grade 7 and into the middle school. We'll briefly touch on the MYP curriculum because grade 6s already know about the MYP curriculum. That's their first year of that. LEAP electives, advisement, technology, My Passport, outdoor education, communication, and then we'll get into some questions where, as I said, the MVP reps will be able to sit with you and answer some questions as well. So I'll just give you a moment to read these 3 statements. This can come out. Do you want to go on this side? Sure. So we just like to start with these because they're, every year that your child goes through school, and your parents, you see this, you're probably more experts than we are, you know that they have growth and maturity and things are starting to change with them. But some of that change that you'll start seeing in the middle school too is that bit more of a push away from you. It already starts in grade 6, but it's a bit more of that push and that lack of communication that starts. Yes? Yeah. But the middle school program is really structured to support this. So we provide choice to them outside of just the MYP core classes. So they're able to choose electives. They're able to have camp experiences, and we have a My Passport where they can really reflect and track what they're doing throughout their middle school year. So their My Passport will continue with them until they graduate actually, but it really tracks what their commitments are, what their passions are, what their goals are. We also have increased opportunity for student mentoring. So our advising program is a multi-grade level. So in the advising group they'll have grade 7, 8, and 9s, and so are our elective programs. So it really enables the students to now have that peer mentoring from older students as well as their own age group within the middle school context. Middle school faculty are unique in their way of teaching middle school. It's a group of an age group where they really need to connect with them and build relationships, but they also need to be that teacher in the classroom and hold boundaries for them. And they're there to do that. They're also there to allow them to make mistakes and maybe fail a bit and learn from that and build them up again when that happens. They will have up to possibly 9 teachers next year, so that's a big change for them. And that change is getting to know their teachers and the different personalities and different teaching types that come up. So that is a process as well that the teachers really support. Also, there's increased responsibility for the grade 7s. So completion of homework, knowing what homework has been assigned, will be communicated to them, although we are working through our SECTA and having that posted and working through some of those road bumps that are coming, but that is something that will keep parents connected as well. But the big change as they develop into the middle school is really trying to put more ownership on them, and I know that already starts in grade 6, so we're really lucky because it's really just continuing that process as they come into us in grade 7. So I like this picture of the hands because it really demonstrates where they're coming from in grade 6 and kind of leading into the middle school. So we know in grade 6 that parents have already started to step back and not be hand-holding and not, being overbearing with their child, and that there is that separation starting with their students. But we also know that in grade 6 there is still a little bit more support because of their age and their developmental level. We also know that communication goes home to parents in grade 6, and that will be a big change. The communication will start with the student in grade 7 and then go to the parents. So that's a bit of a change, and that's where you see, in the middle school, you're still there, because in grade 7 they still need you there, but you're side by side instead of just kind of letting go of that hand holding. And so those are the big changes, is that the self-management skills start to be put on the student and having those developed in them. The communication will go to the student to have them build responsibility. We're really looking for them to build those skills so they can be successful as they move on. And as I said, it's not, we don't want you to be part of their life at all when it comes to school, but we just want you to be standing beside them instead of maybe just holding onto their hand a little bit still. And as I said, we're really lucky with the grade 6s starting with the MYP program. That transition's already starting. So it's not an abrupt one, it's just one that keeps building up the staircase.
In terms of the MYP curriculum, again, we're fortunate that in grade 6 we start year 1 in the MYP, so all the students leaving grade 6 are quite familiar with the program and the criteria. One of the biggest differences they face is that they will now see 9 potentially different teachers throughout their grade 7 year, and I think that is a new transition, and in terms of moving to all their classes, there's a bit of a scheduling transition. But as both advisors and grade 7 teachers, our goal is really to help them understand exactly how that works. The first few weeks we're very understanding of the fact that it's very new for them and they're a little frantic, but we're there to calm them down and help them figure that out, and I think the students here could probably agree that eventually you get pretty used to it.
Yeah.
In terms of our LEAP elective program, the LEAP elective program, LEAP stands for Learning Enrichment and Personalization. And this runs on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday afternoons. and that's from 2 till 3:35. And we created this program with the idea that we could create more personalization for students in their schedule. And this allows them to do things like creative arts, performing arts, athletics, second language development, and many, many more. And I could speak to a lot, but it's better to have our students speak to it, so we'll hear from each of them about one elective that they'd like to speak a little bit about.
Well, one elective that I do is MBA, which is Mulgrave Basketball Academy, and we do a lot of skill development that we kind of like more practice on, and like Mr. O said, the LEAP electives are an opportunity for your child to do something that the school curricular subjects don't usually teach. So I really enjoy my athletic elective because it kind of like takes away from all the stress from school and allows your kid to do something that they wouldn't usually do.
Oh, I'm also an MBA, but another elective that I like to be a part of is Changemakers, so I like to balance between athletics and service. So in Changemakers, we focus on making a positive global and local impact. So we've done things with Indigenous, we've had pen pals, and we've gone to reconciliation walks, and it's just building those relationships with people outside of Mulgrave as well. So we have a partnership with a school called Britannia, it's in East Van, so we do different events with them, and we have a winter drive with them as well.
On Thursdays, I'm in an elective called photography. So we basically will go and we'll take pictures, and we'll learn how to take pictures like properly using things like the rule of thirds and other photography. Blanked on the word. Other photography usages, and so being able to have my mind think more creatively rather than academically can really benefit my learning.
On Wednesdays, which is today, I have ceramics, which basically, like, we kind of do a bit of ceramics in the art curriculum, but not really, so I kind of wanted to go more in depth with it, so I chose to do ceramics. Basically what happened, it's my second year doing ceramics actually. For the first few classes, we do like basic skills like coils and slabs. Then after that, it's just free for whatever you want to do, basically. Your own projects. It's really fun.
Great. So thank you very much to the students there. We're hoping that the guide will be out this Friday, and that gives you an opportunity to hopefully sit down with some of your sons and daughters and make some decisions. At the latest, it'll be out by Monday, and we really hope that you get an opportunity to sit down. We know the grade sixes were really excited, and in our hour meeting, this took about 55 minutes, and so they'll hopefully have an idea already of what's going on, and they'd be very excited to sit down with you and help. The personal elective, which you may have heard of, is designed for students who are doing some level of very high commitment outside of school. And so the idea is that they may be dancing at a very high level, and maybe dancing 3 or 4 days after school, maybe some high-level athletics that causes them to miss significant amounts of time. And in that case, they can then sign up for the personal elective here so that we support them with a little bit of academic time, free time at school or off campus, with the idea in mind that they're doing such a high level of commitment outside that they may need a little bit more support with time back from school so that they can keep up with their schoolwork.
So the LEAP elective guide, as Mike mentioned, it will be out on Friday, hopefully, if not Monday. And students have until June 28th to sign up for their LEAPs. So it is not a first come, first kind of serve process. It's not if they get it in the next day that they'll definitely get their first choices. We ask them to choose 3 choices per day. The LEAP electives run all year, so they take them on the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of the week in their last block. And after June 28th is when it becomes kind of first serve, whatever isn't full. So that's why we really encourage you to, take this weekend, sit down, speak with your child about what might be a best fit for them, and then sign them up. As I said to them, we did a little thumbs up, thumbs down. I said, you don't need your parents' input when you sign up for electives. And a few of them were down. I said, you do need your parents' input for electives, and they need to sign off on it. And most of them put their thumbs up. So there's a little tick box on when they go to sign up that you need to be part of that process. So that's where that conversation comes in around the electives. If you feel your child is someone that would benefit from a personal elective because they do have an outside commitment that takes a lot of time, you can reach out to Mike or myself, or if you have the detailed information, you'll be able just to input that once you tick the personal elective. But that's the process for signing up for electives, and as I said, the top 3 are really important because we try to do our best to make sure they get their top choice, but sometimes with numbers, or sometimes electives don't run because we don't have enough numbers, we need to make sure that they have those top 3 for each day. So the next thing we just wanted to touch on was the one-to-one advisement. So this is a bit different from what grade 6s have now. They have a homeroom teacher, and they're the 3 homeroom teachers in grade 6. And they're going to move into the middle school, and they're going to have an advisor teacher. And that advisor group is made up of 12 students. Usually when it all works, it's 4 grade 7s, 4 grade 8s, and 4 grade 9s. It's not always that perfect though. And there is about 21 middle school advising groups. So we keep the advisor groups to 12 students to 1 teacher to make sure that there is that really personal adult advocate for those students in that group. As I mentioned as well, it also allows students to have an older student mentor within that group as well. So I know they'll share about science fair, the grade 8s will share about science fair and Night of the Notables with the grade 7s, so that they know what's going on when they move into that. Grade 9 share about their experiences prepping for exams with the grade 9. So it really starts to be this community group that they have for advising. The advisor teacher's there for you as well. So they're your main contact as parents. And we really look at it as a triad approach with the parent, teacher, and student to make sure that students are being successful both academically and socially, emotionally. And that's a really important key aspect for us in the middle school to make sure that they're feeling well overall in a holistic nature in their experience at school. And as I mentioned about making mistakes and failures, we want to support that because we want them to be able to learn how to be resilient and how to overcome that and then move forward. And that's where the goal setting really comes into play as well, and going through the process of having them set goals for themselves for the year, revise those goals, and have support in accomplishing them. Maybe I'll just pick Lindsay. Can you Lindsay, Emma, the last name, first name, sorry. Can you speak to your advisor group and what that was like transitioning into the middle school?
Sure. So, when we met our advisor groups, everyone was really friendly and supportive, and so, although I was in grade 6 and feeling a little bit unsure, the transition was really easy because everybody was really friendly and supportive, as I said. And so, as we did more like team building activities with the group, I felt more and more a part of the team. Yeah.
So they all came in today and was like, Ms. Moore, you didn't tell us anything that we're speaking about. We didn't prepare anything. I said, you'll be fine. So I think that the advisor program, as I said, is really important to the student success in the middle school. They meet every Monday and Tuesday, and then every second week on a Wednesday. So they have that time with their advisor teacher. They're also able to pop in at any time and speak to their advisor teacher about how they're doing and that progression. But we also stress the importance of relationships with all their teachers. So at times you will see that maybe your child has a really strong connection with their science teacher, and they may go to their science teacher and speak to them as well. And that's something that we really want to foster within the middle school, is to make sure that all connections are strong with the students and teachers. So, technology.
I have a question.
Oh, sorry.
The advising teacher, is it different every year? And
No,
different groups?
good question.
Okay.
Thank you. So the advisor teacher, they will get in grade 7. They will be with them throughout grade 7, 8, and 9. So they see them through the middle school. And another note on that is when we spoke to the students the other day, they fill out a profile of who they are for me. And that is what I use to place them with an advisor teacher so that there's a best fit approach. I'm pretty successful. Sometimes it's not, and then we look at that. The grade 6 teachers also provide me input once that placement has been done, because we really do want it to be a best fit. So the student has input into that, the grade 6 teachers have input into that, and then that's when the decisions are made about where grade 6 students go for advising.
And then the grade 7s and 8s will stay the same group. So,
Exactly.
until eventually they're in grade 9 and then they're all new faces.
So, exactly, so
Yeah.
grade 9, they'll move into grade 10, a new advising group. So on June 28th, when the grade 6s join us to meet their advisor teacher and group, they'll get to meet the current grade 7s and the current grade 8s and the current grade 9s, with the 9s leaving, but that not the 9s that allow a little leadership on that day when we have our advisor challenge.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So technology and digital literacy and citizenship. I do know the grade 6s already use iPads, so they've been exposed to being online and using technology. We are bring your own device in the middle school, so they will have the opportunity to choose what laptop they would like to use. It could be a PC, it could be a Mac. They do not need like a high-powered gaming laptop by any means, and they will try to convince you of that, you know, Miss Moore, I think we had a conversation about that and she said I need it. No, they do not. But they do need a laptop, and it's a bring your own device. As I said, it's a preference whether they bring a Mac or a PC. I use a PC, Mr. O uses a Mac, so it's really a preference for the student what they're used to. But that is something that will go out and mail out, that we give a few suggestions, but again, it's a bring your own device policy, so really it's open to what the family choice is around that. We really like having them on their devices, but also off their devices, so we have a balance in the classroom. It does allow us to increase collaboration when they're on using Google Apps for Education, which is a great asset for us as educators and for them as students. It allows them to learn anytime, any place, they can be connected. And we also have a week-long digital literacy and citizenship program that starts our school year off. So they'll start school and be in this program around how to write a proper email around etiquette, what it looks like to self-regulate around being on technology. That's not a perfect process, and it will be something that we'll need your support with as well, to make sure there's boundaries at home as well around them being on their computers. But they are able to have some of those skills built in the first part of the year and then reinforced as the year moves along. My Passport is an online platform, as I mentioned, that they record their goals, they record reflections on, and it also allows them to start to build a brand of who they want to be out there in the world. As we know, most things are going digital. Whether you're signing for something or you're sending an email or you're finishing an assignment, most things are online. So we want to instill in them what kind of brand they want out there online about themselves. And that's where the My Passport comes in to play, to allow them to have those skills and start to really experience what that looks like for who they want out there on the web. The one thing that does happen is some of them will want to game. Any of you guys? No, this work. Never. Some of them will be, you know, it will be hard for them to self-regulate around that. There is no gaming allowed at school. It's not perfect because it's whether a teacher walks by and they're very fast and efficient on switching screens. But we will take laptops away if they are caught gaming or it becomes an issue that's repetitive. So we do want laptops to be used for educational reasons, but that's where, as I mentioned, having boundaries at home about online time, and it's not that gaming's bad, I'm not saying they shouldn't game at all. There's actually research out there that says that it's in moderation, it's actually not a bad thing for students if they're interested in that and that's a passion, but just setting some boundaries around that, having docking stations at home so when they go to bed, their technology isn't in their room. Is really important for us to have that support because that also instills that ability to self-regulate around their use of technology. Cell phones, they are allowed a cell phone in the middle school, but they are not allowed to use it at school. So they're allowed to use it at school if they come and ask to use it in the middle school office or they ask their teacher to use it, but they shouldn't be on their cell phone at lunch or recess or in the hallways, and they can use it as an educational tool if their teacher asks them to. But they're not allowed just to have it out all the time. Great.
So,
Yeah.
the benefits of technology in education are well known, but increasingly over the last couple of years, the not so good effects of it is now coming up because I think, like any research, there's a length of time has gone by. example, laptops usage for note-taking, etc. I mean, research across the board shows that it's like less than 50% of students are actually looking at what they're meant to. So when you all look at your technology and literacy and citizenship, are you all looking at this new research? Are you all examining it? Because
Yeah, so actually that's something that, I agree with you, the recent research, and it's actually something that has always been part for us, because as they move into the DP program, they actually need to still have the ability to take notes by hand and still write an essay by hand and have those skills as well. And so that's where the balance comes into play for us in the classroom. So you'll see that teachers are using both methods, whether they're on technology or they're writing things by hand or they're going to the library and doing research from books and research articles. We really do try to balance it out. But I think it's important that we also instill them with that ability to use technology in a productive and self-regulated way.
In the middle school, I think especially we're trying to give them a whole range of different techniques for note-taking, for recording their lessons and all their material. And then in the senior school, we kind of give them a little more choice in terms of what's the best fit for them. So in science in particular, we use a bit of a skeleton note that we've actually found they kind of like the paper notes, and so we use that with a mix of other programs that we may find on their laptops. And so as classroom teachers as well, we're always trying to find the best balance between technology, but we're really trying to instill note-taking skills in the students and get them to be really independent in the way that they do that, and that's a program. Of course, there's a process there. So, yeah.
And it's really, as I mentioned, it's really important that we have that, because as they move into the DP, those are still very handwritten assignments and exams that they have to be prepared for, and 3-hour length exams.
Do you ever check their computers to see the ways in which they are taking notes and if they are commensurate with your expectations?
Yeah, so we provide a skeleton and a graphic organizer that they can take notes. That would be based individually on teachers, on their checking of homework and note-taking and that process, but most teachers have a system that they would like to see for students when they take notes. So Cornell Notes is one example that teachers use, which is a structure of how to take notes.
And then they can view the work from their
Exactly.
device.
So the benefit of being online through Google Apps for Education, all that work is shared with their teacher. So their teacher can go on as they're working, go on after, go on before, so they can see what that process is happening as they go through the assignments or the classes.
What is DP? You refer to DP?
Sorry, see, I told you I'd forget it. So DP is the Diploma Program, and that's the grade 11 and 12 part of the IB program, the International Baccalaureate Program. Yeah, so that's a little far off, but that is something you'll see.
I just have one comment.
Yeah.
And speaking for my husband, I think it's been, we have a son in grade 8.
Yeah.
And the different approaches to learning digitally and some books, like kind of the patchwork, which is a way of approaching, different ways of learning.
Yeah.
I think as a parent, it makes it a little bit hard. Like my husband wants a textbook.
Right.
Or if we have any support at home, it's like there's some on Google Classroom and then they have some notes. And so I just wanted to kind of put that comment to both of you that sometimes has been a challenge to support our kids, that it isn't everything in one spot, that it's kind of all over the place. So I think also being our age, we didn't learn digitally, and we had textbooks and a very concrete curriculum we were following. So
I think
that's been a challenge for us, I think.
I think that's something we're always talking about and considering, and it's interesting with the students is how they sometimes like that as well, and so we're trying to kind of make sure we have both in most cases, but also I think when we set them free to do any sort of research or anything, the last place they'll go usually is a textbook, and so teaching them how to kind of decipher what they find on the internet and all the different sites and sources, I think is a really important skill as well, and so that balance is really important, like you said.
Yeah, and really, it's their job. This is their school education. So, I mean, and you guys the school is trying to promote independence. So, at the same time that I say that, it's like, well, it's their career as a student, not ours. So,
Yeah, but I understand your point. It's all about balance and feeling, as I said, we're not asking you to totally let go. So how can you
Yeah.
be hand by hand with them?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I had the same issue when I went to the library and you can get a math textbook.
You can, yeah.
And I feel like I help Madeline with math sometimes, and I need the textbook, whereas they're used to technology. So I think the school offers both.
Yeah,
If-
so
if you want it.
if you want it, yeah, definitely parents can sign out textbooks. Students don't have very many textbooks anymore. They're mostly online. So, but we do have some hard copies still in the library if that is something that parents need as a resource that they can definitely sign out.
Could you maybe describe the philosophy around sort of meeting deadlines? If they're having 9 different teachers and multiple,
Yeah.
and they've got deadlines, and SECTA will, or Google Classroom even, it shows up in red if something isn't in. And sometimes I find that teachers will say, oh no, it's done because it was handed in maybe a paper, but someone didn't click it as done, finished. So it shows up as red, so you think they haven't finished it, but they have. And also just in terms of meeting the deadline, is there consequences or is it flexible? I'm just trying to understand how we're
Yeah,
collectively
so the IB program and NYP program states that students shouldn't be penalized for handing in late work because the program is looking at their most recent, most consistent performance, and if they hand something in late, that shouldn't penalize them if they're still able to demonstrate their knowledge. So that's one piece. Our piece, which we are being more strict about this year, is that if something is late, they will be held at lunch or after school now, and that communication will go home. Because what we're seeing is that that skill of self-management without a few boundaries in place isn't being developed for students, and they really do need to have that skill develop as they move into the older grades. So as much as the philosophy around IB says one thing, we're saying we really need to develop this skill, so we need to put some boundaries in place. So that is something that actually has come back from parents, from teachers, even from some students saying, you know I can push it a bit, so why wouldn't I push it a bit, you know? And so now we're being very firm with that and having the lunchtime or after school, and or sometimes teachers are able to work out another time that works for them. But yeah, we're having those, I don't like the word consequences, but boundaries put in place. Yeah.
There's also, I think, that sort of kind of just there's that process of teaching them the skills of getting their work in on time.
Yeah.
Especially in grade 7, I think that they, with a little more freedom, sometimes tend to just wait right to the last second, and then it all kind of blows up, and they panic, and then they hide, and and so,
True, yeah.
Or they don't panic.
or they don't
So
panic.
there's nothing at school that's saying, where's the work, and so that's also dangerous.
Yeah,
What
and
time they're spending actually finishing whatever it is they haven't handed in.
Yes,
That
that's
will
the
stay
time
as
they're
long as-
spending, exactly, yeah.
and so I think the idea that we also need to keep in mind is that we need to teach them and give them the skills to chunk the work a little bit. And we intentionally teach those skills, and we create timelines for the students in the science course in particular, and a couple of the courses we use a special timeline so the students understand how to break the work up so it's manageable. And so there's a teaching of that skill of handing it in as well as the consequence of when it doesn't happen, other things can get pulled.
Well, just to say, the other issue is if someone does meet the deadline,
Of
and
course.
other students take 2 or 3 extra days,
Yeah.
you're actually penalized for making the deadline.
Yeah.
By virtue of the fact that maybe the others have more time or dedicate more work to it. So I think you need to decide whether there's a deadline or not and let all the students know.
And that's a really important piece. What we always find is that for students, and this goes all the way to grade 12, if we don't get their work in on time, it's never a benefit. And we really emphasize that for them, is the work builds and builds and builds when you do that. And so explaining that to them and showing that to them, especially in the middle school, and teaching them those skills is so important.
I hear your point, and so that's where those boundaries are put in place, that completion needs to happen that day. So it's, they don't get it in, they're staying to get it done. Yeah.
Sometimes it says that they haven't handed it in, but they have because it was paper.
Yes,
I
so
learned that.
So this is, so we, grade 6s have been exposed to SECTA as well, and SECTA is a platform that we rolled out this year that supports our live time feedback and our report cards. With any system, there has been some bumps along the road, which we're trying to perfect. And one of them is making sure that the red doesn't show up if it has been submitted already. And 2, making sure assignments are posted and stay long enough that parents can also see those due dates. So I am well aware of those issues and already have been on the phone with SECTA and workshopping with our teachers. But like with anything new that comes in, there is a bit of a learning curve that happens, and we are working on that. But with SECTA, it really does provide you with that feedback and provides the students with the lifetime feedback, which is so essential for their learning. So the 4 strands, I'm not going to spend too much time on it just because we're running out of time, but the 4 strands in the middle school is very similar to the junior school. They have the ability to take part in citizenship, athletics, arts, and academics. And these 4 strands are co-curricular, and they are separate from the LEAP electives. So LEAP electives are a choice that they get to participate in for the year on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursday afternoons. And then there's co-curricular activities which are offered based on our 4 strands. And those happen after school or at lunchtime, depending on what that co-curricular is. Part of the process around the 4 strands is having the support again of the My Passport, and they're able to set goals around those 4 strands and the co-curricular involvement that they're in to set goals around their participation in them and really develop skills within those co-curriculars as they move throughout the year. Connor, do you want to speak to one of your co-curriculars?
Well, I did a bit of athletics this year. I joined the rugby team because I really like rugby.
He played for the seniors, so just a bit.
Just a bit. And there were practices 4 times a week, but I found it okay to fit it in with my schedule. And overall, it was just really fun to do something like outside of school that I really enjoy. And we had the athletics banquet last night, and not to toot my own horn, but I got most heart for the junior boys rugby team.
And Emma, maybe I'll get you to speak about Speak Up, because that's a new co-curricular that we brought in this year.
So Speak Up is part of the one of the leadership options that you can do. And basically what we do is we will go and it's like a student voice. So this year we worked on placing the garbage cans in different locations so that way the cafeteria would become more clean. I think last year we worked on putting a microwave in place. But we'll also lead the town halls, which is like a 20-minute assembly every Monday. And we'll lead those and just talk about reminders, what's coming up in the athletics, and of everything that's happening around the school.
Yeah. So one thing that we really try to instill in the middle school and then for grade 7s is to have opportunity for leadership. So Speak Up is one opportunity that Emma spoke about. We have the Student Ambassador Group, and they support new student transition and other community events that happen at school. We have the Middle School Action Council, and I'm pretty sure I put that MSAP, you might hear it, but I'm pretty sure that's on your sheet. And they are the student leadership team which organizes student events. So dances, movie nights, Halloween events, winter break, pre-winter break events. So we really try to make sure there's an opportunity for all students to be part of leadership in some area. And student ambassadors allow students that maybe aren't as confident about leadership to join and really build up that confidence and then maybe choose something else the next year. So the Student Ambassador Group is quite large, but it allows them to have that peer mentoring and build up those skills.
Okay, in terms of outdoor education in grade 7, this is also a really exciting time and an exciting part of the middle school. At the beginning of September, we head out to Camp Potlatch, which is in Howe Sound, and that's a full grade camp, and we take a ferry taxi from Horseshoe Bay, and it's a 2-night, 3-day camp. One night the students will be in cabins, and the other night they'll be outside, and we use this as an introduction to them for basically the grade 8 and 9 camps. And so it's a real kind of transition year in grade 7 that prepares them for the options that they have in grade 8 and 9. And another thing that happens throughout the year is we have our winter activities. In grade 7 we go snowshoeing at Cypress Mountain. One of the LEAP electives, the Summit 1 elective, is an outdoor ed focused elective where the students get to do a bit more kind of real outdoors work. There's some skills that were taught in that class that prepares them for the Summit 2 course, which then is a follow-up elective that allows them to really go out and do a lot more camping, a lot more winter camping even, and some different experiences. In terms of the co-curricular activities, there's the rock climbing club, and as they transition into grade, kind of late grade 8, grade 9, they have to be 14, they can take part in the Duke of Ed program. And Connor, do you maybe want to, or Mika, do you want to talk about your grade 8 outdoor experience?
Yeah, so I did day hiking, which was really fun. For every day we were at the camp, we went on hikes, we cooked our own meals as groups, and it was very different from grade 7 camp, but grade 7 camp provides that transition, like being more independent, like how are you going to set up your own tent, make your own camp base, and that's really shown at grade 8 camp. And so, yeah, day hiking was a really fun opportunity, and there's a lot of different options you can choose from, like kayaking, canoeing, and rock climbing. So whatever you're interested in, you can choose.
Emma, do you want to talk about grade 7 camp?
Sure. So in grade 7, we basically get to the camp, and then they split us into 2 groups. So you either get to go and hike up. I guess everybody in grade camp doesn't call it a mountain, but it was more of like a long hill. And so then you climb up that, and then you'll set up your tent. But when you're climbing, you have to carry all your everything. So like everything you're going to eat, you have to carry the tent. And so it's a great transition for getting you have to carry everything, but it's one night, so as Mika said, it's a great transition to the grade 8 and 9 camps.
In our startup program in September as well, we'll run prep sessions with the students that help them with their meal planning and also to carry the tent so the meal planning doesn't end up when they're out. And
Yes.
provided.
So 8 and 9 is choice camp years. So they get to, as Mika said, choose from about 6 different camps that they want to be on in grade 8 and 9. And then grade 7s, we stay as a cohort for camp where we build those skills. So when they go into grade 8, they're prepared for making the choice and then really doing the meal plan on their own, bringing their own tent. At grade 7 camp, food and tents and all that's provided for us. The students just have to hike it up a mountain. Long hill. I agree with the long hill. I always go to grade 7 camp, and that's just an opportunity for me to get to know the grade 7s. It's really fun. So it's a great opportunity for them just to get introduced to some of those outdoor ed experiences. Great. So the last slide before we give a few minutes for MVP reps just to move around and have a few discussion questions with you as grade 6 parents is weekly connections is our key communication in the middle school. So that is what gets sent out every Friday. Junior school has it as well, but really that is where we will put everything that parents need to know. So I can't stress enough how important it is that you read that, and it will have every dates, it'll have upcoming dates, it'll have things that are happening for the middle school as a whole, grade level things. So that's really the key communication piece. Email from teachers will usually go to your child. So if there's something that's happening that is that the child needs to know, they will email your child. Teachers will communicate with you if there's something that they need your support in. So if there's assignments are being missed on the due dates, or maybe they didn't do so well on an assignment and they just want to touch base, or maybe they've shown great improvement on something and the teacher wants to reach out to let you know the success they've had. So that is a big change. The communication from teachers gets pulled back quite a bit from parents and then is sent to the students. And that is, I think, something that some of our current grade 7 parents can probably speak to, but is a big change around that communication piece, because teachers are now communicating with their students and only when needed with the parents. Emails from school, same thing. It will be, you might get a push out email about science fair because that's a grade level aspect, but really the emails from school will not be sent out very much. It will all be in connections. Assessment, class pages, so all of that now is through SECTA. And you've been exposed to SECTA for grade 6, so that will be a similar platform when you move into grade 7. As I said, I'm well aware of some of the bumps that are happening and working on those, but Secto is the spot where teachers, students, and parents can access for that. We also have an assessment calendar. We do our best to make sure it's balanced weeks for assessment for students. It's not perfect, and there's a lot of communication that happens between teachers, students coming and speaking to me and saying, hey, Ms. Moore, you know, this is happening. I'm not sure if teachers are aware. So we do try to balance it, but there is a bit of increase in workload. The big difference that we have seen, though, is that with grade 6s having MYP as their first year, that is not such a big jump for them anymore into grade 7. That they are really well prepared in grade 6 to move into grade 7 with that increase of workload. But there you will see a bit of increase in the workload. And again, that's where we really try to instill in students the time management, self-regulation. If they get assigned math on Monday, but they don't have math till Wednesday, they need to complete their homework on Monday for math. Because then they're going to have different courses on Tuesday, and now they have a lot more homework that might need to be completed for Wednesday. But you will see a bit of increase, but as I said, it's great that the first year of MYP is in grade 6 because that transition is not as large anymore. The last thing I want to say is that your child may come to school and just stand there a little white in the face, not knowing what to do on the first day of middle school, and that's okay. That happens every year, and the teachers are in the hallway, Mr. O and I are in the hallway, and there will be a lot of support for them. But they may feel overwhelmed because they are transitioning into a new school as being the middle school. They will have up to 9 different teachers. They have a lot of freedom in the sense of now they go for lunch at 1:15 and then they don't need to be in class until 2, so they have that time to do whatever they would like. There's no one saying, okay, you're done, go outside. So that's a bit of a change for them, same at recess. So that is very normal and we are prepared for it. It's also really normal for you guys to have the same kind of feeling of being overwhelmed because it is a change, and we are here to answer any question. Mr. O, my door is always open, so never hesitate to pop in, send me an email, drop me a phone call, but it does take, I'd say, about 2 months. So by the end of October, we start to see the grade 7s feeling really confident and kind of flowing through their schedule, not asking where certain things are, and demonstrating some confidence there. But it does take some time. Great, so what I would like you to do is if you just turn to whoever's beside you or a group of 3 and just kind of discuss these questions. I'll come around with some post-it notes, and if you have any questions that you would like to pass up to Mr. O and I to answer, we can. And I'll just ask our MVP reps if you can just kind of move around so you're a bit spread out within amongst the grade 6 parents. But it's really just an opportunity for you to discuss with the MVP reps around these questions. What excites you, your child, about the middle school?